neighborhood, neighbor.
I am the Martian ambassador.
Des Moines and all of central Iowa, welcome to Max World Live. Max World is your world. Every day we talk about the issues and topics that matter most to you. And as always, it's your voice we want to hear in Max World. So join the conversation by calling 515-244-0077. And now, here's the host of Max World Live, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome. It is the 19th day of November in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and welcome to this day's edition of Max World Live, here live on 99.3. If you have just found the radio station, congratulations. You are not suffering from deja vu, although you will hear familiar voices like this voice.
This one? That's a little loud.
That is a little loud. Anyway,
Mac.
your mic's a little hot. It's not just your headphones. So this is Frank, the voice, the verse, the man. Used to call into Max World Live all the time and pester Bradshaw just to the... I mean, he was worse than lice. I mean, just made you scratch your head all the time. And so Frank's here, and my other co-host, I think you're probably familiar with, Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat watching the chat, because if you choose to participate in these shows by chat and not by voice, you can go to webcastonelive.com and go to today's broadcast. You'll all not only hear the radio program, but you will see the radio program.
Mac, would you like to inform the radio audience why you're happier than goat something today?
I am happy today. 5 months ago, we moved into our new offices in the Merle Hay Mall Tower, behind Merle Hay Mall. We're on the 6th floor, and we are surrounded by a bunch of liberal commies up here who want it really warm. And they have one heating unit for the entire floor. So the whole 10,000 square feet gets heated by the one. Well, I got a bunch of people who like to be warmer than I. That was nice, wasn't it?
Chickens in the hen house, let's say.
And so we were told that if we needed to get it cooler in our studios, which we needed to do, we needed to find some source of fresh or some source of air conditioning. Basically, I have to air condition in the middle of the winter. And so today, my new handyman, Kevin, came up here and gave me the best air conditioner you could have on the 6th floor of the Merle Hay Mall Tower. I have an open window. Yeah! It's not big enough to fit Frank through, though.
But why was it shut?
Well, it was shut because this is a green room. Can you shut off the green for just a second for those people watching on Webcast One Live? This is basically just a big green room. It's not green because I like Kermit the Frog. It's green because anything we project up on the green wall shows up like, are you ready, Ryan? Shows up like this. Well, we had to block out all the light, and so we covered all the windows, but we've had Kevin the handyman open up one window. One little, what is it, probably 24 inches by 18 inches? Yeah. And now we can have cool, fresh air. And we started the show today at 75 degrees in the studio. Now, for those of you that think that feels comfortable, it's not. Because we have all this equipment running. And so it's a really, how do you describe it? It's not a dry heat, it's not a humidity, but it's just a heat that has a charge to it. Because it's the exhaust fans from all the computers and...
Yeah, that's true. It's electronically generated heat.
Yeah.
And that tends to be dry.
Yeah, and it's just not very comfortable. And so today, with permission from the Merle Hay Mall, we have installed the best air conditioner there could ever be, and that is God himself. How you like it in here, cowboy?
Well, I tell you what, I was walking over here to the studio thinking, man, I bet our listeners are really excited and want to weigh in on the air conditioning issues here at the Truth Network. They can if they call 515-244-0077.
And if any of our viewers in the future...
Was I being sarcastic, Bob? That's not nice. No, to be honest, it feels fantastic in here.
And if any of our viewers in the future see Bob and I with icicles hanging off our beard or whiskers, you will know that we are froze to death.
This floor is going to be tough because most of the guys here like it cool. I mean, I'd rather put on a coat than not. right? I mean, I'd rather just wear a sweater. So it feels great in here.
We're down to 72.
72
on the indoor thermometer.
So now now here's the funny bit though. Here's probably what everybody is thinking. Tomorrow, what about tomorrow when it's snowing? What are we going to do then? Well, the good news is tomorrow we're going to be in a completely different location.
Yeah, we're going to be broadcasting live from the Community Choice Credit Union Veterans Memorial Auditorium during the Family Leaders Presidential Family Forum. Tickets are $15. You're welcome to get in. Doors open late afternoon, and we are live from 3 to 5 from that event. We hope to get some presidential candidates and their representatives, but most importantly, it's just your voice I want to hear. We're going to talk a little presidential politics tomorrow and how they shore up. The only one that's not going to be there is Jeb, Bobby Jindal, and Trump.
Yeah, and thinking about this Syrian refugee issue that we've got in our country right now, the impending war, or according to France, the war that has begun, this is an important event to hear the hearts of these people who want to lead America. This isn't stump speech stuff anymore. I want to know, what's your real heart on this stuff? I don't just want to hear, yeah, let's kill ISIS. I mean, how are you going to deal with this? This is tough stuff. We're putting people's lives at danger if we go to war. People's lives are at danger now with the refugees. How do we, as Christians, what I want to know, here's something that I want to know. How do Christians, the men and women that are believers that are running to be president right now, how does their faith play into the Syrian refugee issue? Because we're getting it from both ends here at 99.3. We got people that think we should just preach the gospel and love the refugees, and Christ called us to love our enemies, and that we should welcome them, and these people need our aid and assistance. On the same hand, they could be terrorists coming in to blow us up. Are we loving our neighbor properly by allowing these people to come in and hurt us? Are we protecting the citizens? These are big issues, and I don't want to hear stump speeches. I want to hear somebody's heart on this. So this is going to be a cool event
First
tomorrow.
of all, you mentioned war.
Yeah.
And I need to know if Hillary and Barack Obama got the email and memo.
That this is war?
That this is
war.
No, they haven't.
They missed that one. They
No,
were
in
out
fact,
sick.
they can't even name the enemy. All right, I want to invite all new listeners today. We've got lots of new listeners, given that 98.3 went off the air a few weeks ago, and we appreciate you coming. This is Mac's World, just like it always has been. You're the star of the show. Your voice is what I want to hear. I have a new listener today, a lady I've known a long time, Deb, and she was saying the other day that she was pretty disgusted by some of the propaganda that was on other talk stations. And I said, Deb, I'm going to do my best to try to give you the truth. And I believe there is a truth. I don't believe that your opinion is true and therefore my opinion isn't, and vice versa. I believe there's a God honest truth to a lot of the answers that we've got going on in America. It may not be the narrative that we want. I agree with that. But the truth is the truth. And if we can't agree on what the truth is, kind of like we just said, who are we fighting? We can't even, the president of the free world can't even tell me the name of this group that we're fighting.
That's absolutely insane. That is absolutely insane. He can't just say it out loud that we have Islamic terrorists, Muslim extremists. These are people that are radical for their faith. This is a faith, religiously motivated thing going on here. I mean, the atheists all the time, they make fun of us as Christians. They say we're no different. We're just like Islam. Christians shouldn't be praying to God. God's not the solution, says the atheist. And they understand this is a religious war. The president of our United States, who says he's a religious man, he can't say this. It's silly.
Apparently, you haven't felt the burn yet.
Feel the burn.
Because global warming is more important than global jihad.
Well, no. See, what's happening is, and my wife said this absolutely the best, the problem is the climate is changing in the Middle East, and everybody's really upset about it. It's getting colder or hotter. I don't know which direction it's going, but it's changing, and they're just so upset that they're killing the French.
I'm upset.
Because the weather's changing.
I'm upset because the climate's changing in this room.
That's
I'm
right.
freezing.
Okay, Dab, what he said was not true. I just want the opinions of Chris Roloff are not necessarily that of mine or the Truth Network or anybody else's.
No, this is Bernie Sanders, man. That is
is that who you're imitating?
I'm sorry. I was saying that. I was joking.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, Deb. I don't really believe that.
Okay.
That's what Bernie Sanders was just saying, though.
All right. So the big deal on these Syrian refugees. By the way, there was a vote in Congress today, and there was additional limits and testing allowed by Congress on these refugees coming in. And if the president doesn't agree to this, I'm seriously going to start. I don't know. I don't know what he is. I mean, he admitted one time during a 2020 interview that he slipped up and he said, my religion of Islam, and then everybody gave him a pass. I wouldn't slip up and say, Chris, my religion of Islam.
Right, your Muslim faith was the line, yeah.
My Muslim faith.
Right.
I wouldn't slip up and say that. I mean, and I'm a goofball when it comes to words.
Sure, because you're not a Muslim.
Because I just think, and what does it matter? Why does it matter whether he's a Muslim or Christian?
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't, except he's lying to us.
Right. The
President of the United States is lying to us about that he does have a religious preference. I'd rather the man not have any religious preference.
Do you have that slip up on tape?
Oh, I'm sure we could find it. You want to hear it? Is that what you want?
Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
Well, Ryan, why don't you see if you can find that? He said, my Muslim faith, I think he was with 2020 or one of the major networks, maybe CNN. I don't know.
It was one of those sit-down interviews where they have the big shot. It's just two chairs in a room, one of those kinds of interviews. I remember when he said that. I guess I would say, though, I've thought about this recently. If we have a real evangelical, born-again believer as the president of the United States, he's going to be sympathetic to Christianity around the world. He's going to be sympathetic to Christians who are being persecuted. So the United States might get involved in protecting the persecuted church around the world. So if our president is Muslim, he has an interest in protecting Islam. He does.
Right.
If that's in fact the case. We just want to know.
And I don't want to go down that road. What I do want to go down is a religious test. Is it time to have a religious test? President Obama said the other day that the U.S. has never used religious tests to determine refugees. I've got the proof we did. That's next.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after the hour on the 19th day of November in the Lord's year 2015. I'm J. Michael McCoy. You know, I was talking to new listeners and inviting you in and welcoming you. There's something you do need to know. We take the Bible very seriously, but we don't take it literally. So we're probably not going to get in any conversations or discussions about, you know, some of the engineering parts of Christianity. And sometimes we're not even going to talk anything about our faith. But remember that this is always a show coming from a biblical worldview. Here's the other thing you need to know. We don't really take ourselves very seriously. We are not striving for ratings. The revenue for this radio station does not come specifically on what we would call commercial sales. Chris Roloff and I are very careful about who comes on the radio. We want them to be someone who will treat you, the listener, with the utmost of courtesy and just taking really good care of you. And I know you may think that's a line, but test us. Go ahead and test us. You know, Brian Leach from Service Legends is one of our supporters. Call his people and have them come out and look at your furnaces or do a free test. Or I'm not asking you to spend money. I'm just telling you that Chris and I are very careful about the people, the advertisers that we let on here. And we're not going to let anybody get on the radio and say, you know, you should do business with us because we're a Christian business. I bet you don't ever hear the term Christian business. That's not important. What's important is how they treat you, my listener. So we're not striving for ratings. We have no big name radio announcers in here. We're all a bunch of people. I'm sorry, except Frank. We're just radio guys who are doing this gig every day for a couple of hours, and we appreciate you being here. First hour is always news, talking about news and comment, Ball Harvey stuff. And then the second hour is always a guest. Today it's a topic very close to my heart, and it's the right to life. No, not before they're born. It's at the end of our lives. And what this country is doing to us and what the insurance companies are doing to us. And by the way, this is not Obamacare's fault. I call the guy out when he does things bad. I'm going to give him credit when he doesn't. This has been going on for a long, long time. It actually started back in the Nixon days when all of a sudden insurance through your employer became a most of the places offer it kind of supplement benefit rather than, oh, yeah, you know, if you work for one of the big five, the IBM, General Motors, Ford, you can get insurance, but everybody else, forget it. Then the unions came in and said, well, we're going to make sure insurance is there. Well, now non-union, union shops, it doesn't matter. You can have health insurance. It was the greed that came out of those insurance companies that have created this absolute disregard for end-of-life protection. So people from the National Right to Life on the inside will be here next hour live on Max World. All right, so immigration experts give President Obama 28 Pinocchios, that on a scale of 1 to 25, for his claim that the U.S. has never used religious tests to determine which refugee or which refugees get passage. Russian and Ethiopian Jews, Americans, Christians, and Catholics from Vietnam have all been moved to the front of the line in previous eras based on their faith, according to historians. And giving one religious group preference is tantamount to sending others to the back of the line. Clearly, this is from Ira Melham. He is the spokesperson for the Federation for the American Immigration Reform. It's called FAIR. That's cute. Clearly, there have been policies that said we will consider certain people from certain religions. I don't know that I would say put Christians at the front of the line in every case, but I would say as a policy to put religious minorities first, we do. Now, this is coming from one of Obama's own little gorgeous people. Obama spoke out after more than 30 governors and virtually all Republican presidential candidates called for a moratorium on Syrian refugees amid fears that ISIS terrorists have infiltrated the desperate wave of mostly Muslims pouring out of the Middle East. This morning, police... Do you want to say something about that, Frank?
Well, I was just going to say uber liberal Bob Beckel even said before this Syrian refugee crisis that we needed to have at least a 2-year moratorium on all refugees, including all from Arab countries and all Chinese who are coming in and getting our education, then going back home and hacking our computers. So even some liberals are saying that we need to stop this immigration crisis pronto.
Police in Honduras this morning, I don't know if you've heard this. Bob, did you hear this? They caught 5 Syrians who were trying to make their way to the United States, and they had stolen and doctored passports. This from a law enforcement spokesman for the Central American country. This is Honduras. Police spokesman Annabel Baca told the AP the men were detained on Tuesday at an international airport in Honduras on an alert from Interpol about their passports. He said that international organizations followed the group from Syria to Lebanon and then Turkey, then on to Brazil, Argentina, Costa Rica, and then Honduras. Did you hear that? 1. You count the countries here, Bob. Let's start with Syria. So 1, then to Lebanon, then Turkey, then to Brazil, then to Argentina, then to Costa Rica, then to Honduras, and next stop would be America. How many?
That would be 8.
8 countries. That is the effort these terrorists are willing to go through to get here. And we just want to say, oh, let them come on. Let them come on in. Let them come on in. And here's the example I use. Chris, you've got a wife and daughter at home. What if I gave you a big, beautiful, blushing bag of juicy grapes? And they're just wonderful. And there's 100 of them in there. And 99 of them are perfect. But there's one, and it'll kill you. You going to give that bag to your daughter?
Definitely not if I couldn't recognize which one was the deadly one.
Right. And if you couldn't recognize it, would you just say, oh, I can't tell the difference. If we accidentally eat that one, then okay, so we lose somebody. You wouldn't say that, would you?
No.
The spokesman went on to say that the international organization followed the group into 9 countries. There's no indication that the men were suspected of anything except carrying stolen Greek passports to Central American nation, according to Baca, who added that the men indicated they planned to travel to the United States. At least one suspect in Friday's massacre had reportedly entered Europe with a fake Syrian passport. You know, all right, this is the comment portion of the show. Deb, if you're listening, this may not be true to your ears, but I'm going to tell you up front that I'm not trying to tell you the truth. I'm telling you my opinion. The comments about to be said are not those of the radio station, Chris Roloff, the Truth Network, or anybody else sitting in this room. Okay? It just drives me crazy for people who don't care about life. We have a group of Americans who don't consider a child at any stage, now even past birth date, birth hour, considered a human being and have the rights of the Constitution. Next hour, we're going to talk about how elderly people, like my mother-in-law, Jeanette, who lost her life earlier this year to a horrible insurance situation. And it's not just me whining. I mean, we've gathered experts in. We've had Congressman King on this show, and he's proposed a bill. I hope he ends up calling it Jeanette's bill. I don't care if he does, but it'd be great to honor Mom that way, because they are not listening to relatives as they stand over their parents, because they have this living will document that is absolutely an insurance's tool to end a non-profitable stay in the hospital. So we've got this group of Americans, and they get the same right to vote as you and I do. And they should have the same right, by the way. I'm not talking about voting rights here. But they don't care about life before it's born. But they don't even care about American life now. They'd rather look good to the other bleeding heart liberals. Well, you know, we brought those refugees, those poor refugees. We were all refugees at one point, too, you know. Yeah, but I didn't come in waving a black flag saying, I'm going to kill you if you let me in. Have we ever had one group of refugees or immigrants come in and say, if you let us in, we're going to kill you? That our whole goal is to kill you? Anybody here French? No. Anybody here German? Yes. Anybody here Irish? No. Maybe we didn't get along so well, but we didn't come here to kill each other. What do Islam want to do? They want to kill us, right?
Radical Islam.
Radical Islam. So how do you tell the difference between the radical grape and the non-radical grape?
One has a Kalashnikov.
Well, I believe there is a way. I believe there's a way. So you give me 10 minutes. I will donate my time to the United States of America. And I will sit down with every refugee wanting to come in here, and you give me 10 minutes. And at the end of that 10 minutes, I can tell you whether they love Jesus or not. And if they deny Jesus, then why would we let them in? Not that you have to be a Christian to get in, but if you're Muslim and an Islamist and a refugee from a country that grows terrorists, and you don't have a relationship with Jesus, isn't that pretty good information? Isn't that pretty good investigation that you may be coming here to kill us? Isn't that enough to just set them aside and say, here, you go stay at the Motel 6 for a while, and we're just going to watch you, and we're going to see what you do? Don't we owe that to our children and our grandchildren and our neighbors? I'm going to be quiet now. Chris, what?
No, you're fine. I think it's... It's like a lot of things. It's sometimes this is an overreaction. You know, I think it was on this broadcast that the issue of the Pearl Harbor bombing and the way that the United States treated Japanese Americans, that's not something we look back historically and go, hey, that was a really great moment. We're really proud of that moment in our American history. It's something that we look back on and we go, you know what? I don't know that we did that really well. Right now, we're doing the polar opposite of that. It is the exact opposite of that, and I think we're going to regret this too. But unfortunately, we're going to regret this with our lives. The other one we regretted because we looked bad. It was shameful. It was, to some degree, it was just it was too aggressive. It was overly aggressive profiling, and we shouldn't have done some of the things that we did. I wasn't there, but from the way I understand it, it wasn't handled great. We're erring on the other side of this. And this is the problem with, the scripture, this is, as Mac pointed out, this is one of those stations where we're going to reference the Bible. The Bible says that a double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. A double-minded man blows wherever the wind goes. If the wind says lock up all Syrian nationals or anybody from the Middle East who's in the United States, if we say lock them up, well, that's one extreme. Well, that's not a good answer. If the other answer is let's just let everybody in from every Middle East country that could potentially be a terrorist, and we'll take them in, we'll feed them, we'll put them on our welfare systems, and all of our tax money will go to fund them, and we'll just take care of them. And that's an extreme on the other end. And the unstable man just goes back and forth between those two things. And it requires that we take a more balanced and cautious and thoughtful and thorough approach. And right now, I think it seems so simple to me. Put a moratorium on this thing. An ally of ours is at war with these people. Why are we letting them in? Look, maybe later, but just for a minute. Let's just take a break. How is that illogical? How is that unkind? How is that uncompassionate? We're not saying let's line them up as they come and hose them down with machine guns. That's not what we're saying. We're saying right now this is a big, at the very least, a gray area, and we need to be cautious here.
And those internment camps was both for the safety of the Japanese and for the Americans, because certainly Japanese wouldn't want to see their countrymen bombed to oblivion. So it was for the safety of both. It was for the safety of Americans and for the safety of the Japanese.
All right, we're coming back. More news, including 2 sisters found after being lost in Minnesota for 3 years after a custody battle. I'll tell you about it next.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money-back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fix them problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed right or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're gonna make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Well, 3:38, 22 minutes before the top of the hour, live here on 99.3, the all-new Truth 99.3. J. Michael McCoy on a Thursday afternoon. Don't forget, tomorrow we will be live from the Community Choice Credit Union Convention Center in Des Moines, formerly known as Vets Auditorium. From 3 to 5 in the afternoon, as the family leader has the Presidential Family Forum. And you are invited. $15. Now, seriously, $15 to hear all but 3 candidates, right? We're not going to have Bob. Yep. Well, Bobby Jindal isn't a candidate anymore.
Unfortunately.
And Trump's not going to be there, and Bush is not going to be there.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody else is going to be sitting around a table with Frank Luntz, and Frank's just going to be asking questions. It's not a debate style. Right. It's a sitting around your family room style. Doors open at 3 o'clock. Is that right?
No, I want to say doors open at 5:30. I believe actually. The 3 o'clock thing is because that's when vendors will be allowed to come back in. Okay. They've got a high level of security for whatever reason at this particular event. Probably because you got a lot of people right now trying to be the president of the United States, and well, maybe there's some terrorists coming into the U.S. I don't know.
So listen to this. So okay. I sent an email today to Frank. Well, it's your email.
Right.
That I forwarded to Frank.
Yeah.
And I said, listen, Secret Service is going to be there, and they're going to be, checking people out. So don't bring a knife or a gun, or just act reasonable.
Right.
So today I come into the studio, and he's all over the telephone calling everybody that he's being checked out by the Secret Service. I'm Frank the Voice Thomas, and I'm so important. I'm getting checked out by the Secret Service.
It's true. It's really true. It's really true.
All right. What, Frank? Go ahead.
Would you like me to tell the story I told off air? So you can make a point.
So that I can make a point. Any opportunity to allow me to make a point,
well,
yes.
I was telling Chris this story going back to the internment camp situation, and I was saying that it was both for the safety of the Japanese and the Americans. Because if you see your fellow countrymen being blown up, you might pick up a gun. So I had this opportunity when I was dating a Yugoslavian woman back in the mid-2000s, and she had wrecked her Toyota Corolla, and I needed a few parts for the Corolla. So I stopped in at a junkyard, a salvage yard on Maury, and was trying to find some parts for the car. And I asked the gentleman out in the yard. They said, well, you'll have to go out and talk to so-and-so. I went out and asked this gentleman. I said, well, do you have these parts? He said, no. And he said, we don't get many of those import products. And I kind of said, well, why is that? And he said, well, for one, he said, the salvage auctions, they're pretty expensive at the salvage auctions. And he says, and besides, during World War II, it was the Japanese that put my dad's eye out. So this guy in the mid-2000s was still angry over something that had happened, 60 plus years ago. He's still angry over it. So this is why I was saying that the internment camps were good, because it was for the safety. And you had a point that you wanted to.
Well, no, it does. It feeds into the point you made before we went to the break that the internment camps following Pearl Harbor were for both. We're for safety on both sides of the issue here. Because why? Because in America right now, we have U.S. citizens that are looking angrily and violently at fellow citizens who are from the Middle East. Look, we're talking about this issue on the radio right now. Lots of folks are talking about this, and it makes us uneasy around our Muslim neighbor or our neighbor that's from the Middle East. And that's not a safe thing. Look, I'm a rational person. I know that that's fear. I know that that's from the enemy. I can confess that that's not rational, that that's not good. But there are people who don't have that conscience, and they don't have that check, and they're going to do dangerous things and hurt people. We talked about a story just this week about racial fights in bars, white guy and a black guy. Yep. Are we going to see an increase in abuse towards those who are from the Middle East? And the other point that I made, and this was off air, which I think is interesting and something to consider. When we have in another country 2 groups of people or more that don't like each other, that are fighting, that hate one another.
The Sunnis and the Shiites.
Yes. They hate each other over there. If we bring them to the United States and we give them Starbucks and allow them to go to Target and Mall of America, and they get to do all the American things, do we actually think they're going to stop hating each other? Because they're not. They're not going to stop hating each other. They're going to hate each other on this soil just like they hate each other over there, and that's going to create more violence and turmoil here. That's something we have to consider. That doesn't mean that we don't ever allow them to come, but those are things that we have to think through that are very serious and real issues.
Well, even Mike said that, Mike Ahmed, that it took him a long time for them to check his background and go through all of that, and he believes that they should do that.
Yeah,
that was his comment yesterday.
Yeah,
but Chris, you mentioned a key word: think. I don't think this administration is doing much of that.
Right.
17 minutes before the top of the hour on the 19th day of November. I'm J. Michael McCoy. This is Max World Live. Frank the Verse Thomas. Also, Chris Roloff, Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, and Ryan, our producer, our usual day today. Coming up in the next hour after the Salem Radio Network News, Right to Life, End of Life. What, Mac? You misspoke. You mean protecting unborn babies. Well, I do want to protect unborn babies, but there's an incredible tragedy going on in our country right now, and it's not protecting our senior citizens from a greedy insurance industry. We'll talk about that with experts on the phone and in the studio later on. A few months ago, there was a coach at Washington State's Bremerton School, and they suspended the assistant high school football coach, Joe Kennedy, because he prayed before football games. 4 years after the former Marine combat veteran would walk alone to the 50-yard line and offer a prayer of thanksgiving and blessings, they told him he couldn't. Well, interesting enough, Benjamin Watson, who's a tight end for the New Orleans Saints football team, happened to notice yesterday on his Twitter and Facebook accounts that the number one trending hashtag was, you ready? Hashtag Pray for Paris. 70 million people around the world expressed their support for the people of France after the horrific attack on Friday by putting out their hashtag Pray for Paris. How do we justify telling Coach Joe Kennedy that he can't pray with a bunch of high school students before a game, but we can think it's a big deal that 70 million people said hashtag Pray for Paris? This is see, there is no truth anymore. That's the problem. We've allowed the evil of this world to come in and say, no, wait a minute. I don't know if the Nazis really killed all those Jews. I think that's exaggerated. Well, it's not really a human life that's in your tummy. That's a zygote. That's a clump of cells. No. I don't think that. I don't think parents have the right to teach their children about religion. I think that's just up to the schools, and we vote no. See, there is no truth anymore, and that's where we fail. All right, let's go to the phones where Carl is on the line. Carl, you're live in Mac's World. How you doing, Carl?
Good, Mac. How are you, man?
Good, sir. Thanks for calling.
Not a problem.
So, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to. I hear you talking about life today on the radio. I just wanted to give your listeners just an opportunity to come and take a stand for life through promoting just the beauty and the cause of adoption and an adoption conference taking place this week in Des Moines, Iowa, at Walnut Creek Church.
Yeah, this is an adoption conference to help people understand about there is hope for adoption and not just ending lives with abortion.
Yes, sir. It's the Hope Adoption Conference. It's going to take place this coming Saturday from 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. at Walnut Creek Church in Des Moines, Iowa.
Is that the one downtown there in Windsor Heights?
Yep.
All right.
Windsor Heights.
What time does it start, Carl?
Starts at 9 a.m. and it goes till 5:30 p.m. We're going to have seminars, speakers, worship, and just times of prayer.
And what's the cost?
There's actually no cost to attend. And if you'd like more information on the conference, you can visit www.beautyamidsttheashes.com.
Say that again.
Beautyamidsttheashes.com.
Beautyamidsttheashes.com. Thanks, Carl, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's tomorrow, Walnut Church in Windsor Heights. We're coming back. Guess what happened in Windsor Heights? It wasn't at Walnut Creek Church. Wait till you hear this.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One.
Show 10 minutes before the top of the hour here on the Salem Radio Network News. That's coming up in about 9 minutes. And then we'll be back at 4:06 with an incredible conversation that you need to be a part of. At least listen. If not, listen. Let us hear your voice, either by chat at webcast1live.com with Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat watching the chat, or over the phones, toll-free, 515, well, toll-free, if you live in 515 area code, 515-244-0077. It's the right to life. But no, it's not the abortion argument. Not today. That's an important argument. It's an important debate, but that's not it today. I want to enlighten you on the other end of life, right to life. what the insurance companies, the greedy insurance companies and the greedy lawyers are doing to your mom and dad, and what they did to my mom, my wife's mom. We called her mom, Grandma. She died after being in the hospital, 2 different hospitals, who refused to give her the treatment that she needed. Well, you're just going to have to listen. I've got experts from Minneapolis on the phone. I've got folks in the studio. You're just going to have to listen to see what we're talking about.
And give credit to Sarah Palin for calling it what it was, death panels.
Yep, that's right. She did. She called them death panels long before anybody else named them, and that's exactly what they are.
Oh, you're absolutely right, Mac. We should have saying this out loud, but you remember Dr. Lee Heeb when she ran for governor here in the state of Iowa. That woman is super sharp on this very issue, and she says, it's not funny, and believe it or not, Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, the more the government gets involved in our health care, the more we go down a very, very scary road. Yeah. And she's been watching it for a long time. I think it's far worse an issue than we realize.
She predicts in 20 years there will be no one who lives to be 100 in this country because they just won't give them care. All you're doing, and think about this. Think about greed. Okay, so if you're 90 years old, all you're doing is taking Social Security. You're now probably taking more than you ever put in, and we have to spend Medicare and Medicaid on you to keep you alive. Well, you're an empty well. I mean, you're a bottomless well. What am I going to do? I'm either going to be the compassionate person that we should be and take care of these people, or we're going to find legal ways to end their life.
Well, good. Let me give you a quick fact. The average Medicare recipient pays in $150,000 in his lifetime, but draws out $450,000.
Yeah.
And that's with Social Security, all of our Medicaid, all of our systems is about running those same, numbers.
Mac, you asked a rhetorical question, earlier. Why is it that everyone is we got to be kind and friendly and good to the refugees and must love them and care for them, and how dare you not welcome them? And on these issues, those same people saying that oftentimes are, but they're not valuable. The unborn child is valuable. And you know what it is? It's because it's not cool. It's not a hashtag. See, It's not trendy. It doesn't come with a cute bracelet. Celebrities on TV aren't saying how cool it is and all that kind of stuff. We're really just conditioned because of hipness and branding and marketing and all that stuff.
And that's what we'll talk about next hour. 2 stories I want to share with you. First of all, 2 sisters, Samantha and Janina, age 16 and 17 respectively, vanished after a bitter custody dispute between their parents. This was 3 years ago in Minneapolis, 2013. Well, I guess 2.5 years ago. Yesterday, they found the 2 girls living 8 miles from where they used to live with their dad in a farm owned by, guess who? Their mother. They thought these 2 sisters were dead, and they found them together living on this farm. Totally taken care of, healthy. None of this chained him up or anything, but no public schooling, no anything. Almost 3 years. They lived miles from their father, and they couldn't find him. I don't know what the point of that is. I'm glad they found him.
Sure.
Obviously alive, but wow. And let me tell you something. This is why God hates divorce. These 2 children have been put through something that can never be erased, and they have lost time that they can never get back, because their parents decided that they couldn't love them enough to stay together for the kids. This is why God hates divorce. You want to know why you don't get divorced? Because of what it does to your kids. Second story, and there's a lot behind this. So the Colby Group here in Des Moines, Windsor Heights, is going to tear down this beautiful building. I guess it's not beautiful, but this building's been there a long time, Apple something shopping center. And they got permission from the city of Windsor Heights to build an Aldi's there, a grocery store. Well, as soon as it got out into the public that there was going to be an Aldi's there, Hy-Vee started raising havoc, because Hy-Vee's got that brand new store that's literally across the street.
Right.
Well, last night, the Board of Adjustments voted to deny Aldi a construction use permit, even though they had approved the site. You understand? They said, you're good. So the Colby family kicked out all, which they should have. They had every right. They were very good to these people. They took care of their tenants. I've heard good things. Kicked all these people out, got ready to demolish the building, only to have the Board of Adjustments, the powers to be, Hy-Vee, say, oh, no, we don't want a competitor. We already have to put up with Come and Go on the corner because they lost the gas station there on the corner. They're not going to let Aldi's across the street.
And Walmart.
But I don't think Walmart and Sam's Club had it. They didn't have any local push. Maybe they did. It's just amazing.
No, but I was saying Walmart and Sam's Club would be competition to Hy-Vee. They don't want no more competitors.
Right, they don't want any more. Windsor Heights resident Catherine Dickel presented the board with a petition signed by 92 people opposed to the project. 92. But they stand out of Hy-Vee and say, do you want your meat prices to go up if you don't sign this? 9 of the 10 residents who spoke in the meeting were against Aldi building the store. Why? Most cited concerns that the area is already oversaturated with big box stores. Aldi's isn't a big box store. It's 10,000 square feet. Anyway, I find it interesting when money gets involved in politics, and that's another reason why you ought to consider Donald Trump for president, because he's not taking anybody's money. All right. Chris, thanks for being here today. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
We are live from the Family Forum, the Presidential Family Forum, brought to you by thefamilyleader.com. Go to thefamilyleader.com. Get your tickets, only $15. It'll be down at the Community Choice Credit Union Convention Center, formerly known as Vets Auditorium. And I think doors open 5:30, something like that.
5 o'clock, yep.
5 o'clock. Roundtable conversation hosted by Frank Luntz, the national pollster from the incredibly fair and balanced Fox News. So we'll talk to you live from there tomorrow. Coming up next hour, live from this studio and from Minneapolis, the conversation on the right to life. Not the beginning, the end. What? Mac? What are you talking about, Mac? Is this another conspiracy theory? Well, we have Medicaid. We have Social Security. We have living wills. We have... You got squat, Jack. You don't believe me? We'll share it to you. Share it with you next hour here live on The Truth. Coming up next, Salem Radio Network News updating us on all the national news, and then we'll be here live from the Webcast One Live studios on The Truth, 99.3 KTIA, Iowa.